multiverse of beer and music.
Hey everybody, it's me, Dr. Tangent, back for another episode of the multiverse of beer and music. And boy, have we got one of my personal faves on for you tonight. But first, give this video a like. And if you haven't yet, which a lot of you haven't, subscribe. And when you do, hit that notification bell because I put out new content at least weekly. But most importantly, leave me a comment. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know if you liked the video, didn't like the video. If you have questions, if you have comments, let me know. I appreciate that. But tonight, we're celebrating a little bit because I just got back from Indianapolis a few weeks ago, and that gave me an opportunity to visit one of my absolute favorite breweries, Sun King. Fantastic beer. If you ever get a chance, come across anything they do, give it a whirl because you probably won't be disappointed. But tonight we're trying something very interesting. They have a King's Select program that they run throughout the year. Very limited release, barrel-aged beers. A little pricey, I'll admit. But we're trying one of those tonight that I brought back with me from my trip to Indianapolis. As you can see, this one's called Cherry Busey. Yep, Cherry Busey. This weighs in at 6.9%, 23 IBUs, and it's a little crossover between two very closely related styles, Flanders Red Ale and Oud Bruin. They're both Belgian styles that share some aspects, and we'll talk about those in a minute. But first, let's hear what Sun King has to say about this particular beer, and boy, do they practice their alliteration on us. Cherry Busey is a Flanders-style red ale produced using a complex cocktail of wild yeasts and aged in a bevy of barrels. A multitude of Montmorency cherries were lovingly liberated to give the beer its tart cherry tang. So, it's Belgian beer, so we're expecting a lot of flavors, a lot of yeast-driven flavors. But knowing that this is wild fermented, which we'll talk about in a second, probably going to expect even a wider range of flavors than you would expect from a regular Belgian yeast. But let's talk about those styles for a second. Flanders Red and Oud Bruin. They're related styles. Flanders tends to be more toasty malt profile, while the Oud Bruin tends more towards the chocolate and caramel notes, so a little darker malt backbone. But both styles blend older and younger beers together. So you'll have a beer that's been fermenting for a month and a beer that's been fermenting for a year and the same beer that's been fermenting for a couple years, and you're blending those together in different ratios to achieve the finished product. These beers are fermented in open wooden vats called foeders, which allow fermentation to occur with wild yeasts from the air. So instead of a very closed system where you're adding a very specific yeast, trying to get a very specific result, you're allowing your beer to be inoculated by whatever happens to be floating in the air. I know it doesn't sound very pleasant, but it gives each brewery's production something unique. The unique terroir, in other words, the atmosphere of where their barrel room is going to impact how the beer develops, because whatever bacteria, yeasts are essentially bacteria, whatever bacteria are floating in the air are getting into that wort and triggering fermentation. Now, fermentation kills bacteria, so once it gets high enough alcohol level, the bacteria gets killed off anyway, so you're safe to drink it. But It should be very, very interesting. This particular beer is a Flanders-style Oud Bruin Ale that is aged 16 months with Montmorency cherries in Burgundy wine barrels. So I'm going to expect some tart, some sour, some funky, some wine notes, some barrel notes, a whole lot of different yeast notes, but it should be interesting. Let's see how it stacks up. Holy cow, look at that color. Even from here, I'm smelling some cherry, some wine, and maybe some bubblegum. Not unknown. It's surprisingly uh, not an overly common ester from Belgian yeast, but is not an uncommon ester in a Belgian beer to get a little bit of a bubblegum aroma and a little bit of a bubblegum flavor. Super complex on the nose. I mean, I smell the wine, I smell the cherries. It smells kind of light and bright, but complex at the same time. It's different. I'm still getting the bubble gum. Very interesting. You do get a lot of the tart cherry up front. You do get some of the wine up front. You got to wait a little bit to get to the malts. And the malts do lean a little to the lighter side. I'm getting more of a toasted bread, maybe light caramel malt backbone. Not really getting any of the dark caramel or chocolate notes that an Eau Brune is known for. It's not an overly dry finish. You get a little bit of the tannins from the wine barrels, but it's a pretty refreshing beer, believe it or not. It's actually very good. It's tart, not overly sour. Tiny bit of funk, but not as funky as one might expect from a wild fermented beer. But very tasty and beautiful color. I mean, look at that color. It's a deep, oh, somewhere between garnet and purple, but fairly clear when I hold it up to the light. You can't really see through it at this angle. Back a little bit, see if I can get some. Here, I know what. Let me do this. You can see some light through it. You're getting some haze from the condensation on the glass, but light definitely does pass through it. And it's not an opaque beer by any means. It's beautiful. The the head is still hanging on there. It's a ring of very fine bubbles, kind of pinkish in hue, and actually very attractive for a beer. That is super tasty. I understand why it's done so well. This beer is a three-time medal winner at the Great American Beer Fest. All three medals were won in the Belgian fruit beer category. In 2015, it won a bronze. In 2016, a silver. And in 2017, another bronze. Fabulous beer. Wonderful beer. But what are we going to pair with it? What do you think? I don't know. With a name like Cherry Busey. I don't know. Did you know that Gary Busey, before becoming an actor, was a musician? All right, folks. Yes, way back in the day, Gary Busey was a musician before he became an actor. But even currently, he still pursues music as a passion. So check this out from 2013.
Yeah, so is there an intro?
Well, I
Just a
we
couple
should
of times or
we
something?
should, figure one out.
Counting half
It's
times.
a miracle here.
Okay.
1, 2,
And also,
Okay.
Okay, here we go. We'll let 8 clicks go by. Here we go. 1, 2. No.
Starts on A.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Rodeo life's been good to me. I carried that girl in the limousine so she'd go everywhere with me. Down by the lake, stars in her eyes, she took my heart. To my surprise, I threw it over the moon. I wonder if she ever loved me. I wonder if her fever grows. I wonder if her memories hold me close all these years, all these years. She's always coming in my dreams. She throws the same old spell on me. I'm shaking off the bed again. If my heart gets torn apart, so what? I'll pick it up, put it all back together again. I wonder if she really loves me. I wonder if she really cares. Will her memory still hold me close all these years? All these years. All these years. I wonder if she'd ever rendezvous with any fool who said that he loved her more than anything. All these years, 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 all these years.
There you go. That was it.
that's it better.
Yeah, that was a lot better. That was where it needed to be.
So, what did you think of that? I actually really enjoyed that song. Thought it was insightful, interesting, catchy, had a nice blues kind of backbeat to it that was fun. It was a good song. Now, I know he's mostly known as an actor, and infectiously optimistic loose cannon, maybe, with his Buseyisms and his lack of filter. It is widely believed that that stemmed from that 1988 motorcycle accident. But be that as it may, he's an interesting guy. I would be remiss if I didn't mention his current trouble. It was just last year at a horror genre convention in New Jersey that a few women came forward accusing Gary Busey of sexual contact and harassment during a meet and greet. He is charged. He denies the charges, but that's where the case is right now. It just happened last fall in 2022 in New Jersey, and there hasn't been any progress on that. So take it as you will. He is, 78 at the time. And if the accusations are true, shame on him. That's disgusting behavior. But for the time being, let's enjoy the music. I will admit, as this has warmed up a little bit, I'm getting a little more funk from the fermentation, a little more of that Brettanomyces kind of barnyard horse blanket kind of aroma. I know it sounds terrible, but believe it or not, it's actually pretty good. It's under there. It's not real strong, but as this has warmed up, that is coming across a little bit more, which is more in line with my expectations of a wild fermented ale. Brettanomyces bacteria are pervasive, and when they get into a beer, usually on purpose, you get a very distinctive funk. It doesn't taste like it, but it is very akin to the sensation that blue cheese gives you. Some people love blue cheese. Blue cheese has that weird, funky flavor that comes through in spades that makes it different from just about any other cheese other than other bacteria-laden cheeses like Gorgonzola or something like that. Not saying that a Brett beer tastes like blue cheese. I'm just saying that it's that same kind of acquired appreciation for the funk. If you maybe hated blue cheese when you were younger, but you came to really like blue cheese, especially on a nice steak, then it's the same type of palate evolution, if you will, to come to appreciate a Brett inoculated beer. But, yeah, maybe I'll do a short. Let me know in the comments if you want me to do an explanation on the different funks that can get into a beer, the different souring processes, the bacteria that are used, whether it's lactobacillus or Brettanomyces or something else. Let me know if you want to know about that. But just as importantly, if you like what I'm doing here, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and when you subscribe, hit that notification bell because I'm putting out new content at least once a week. At least once a week. And I would hate for you to miss anything because all of my content is fabulous. But anyway, give it a like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, but most importantly, leave me a comment. Say hi, ask a question, toss out a suggestion if you so desire, compliment me on my fine attire, whatever shakes your shimmy. Run with it. But in the meantime, keep drinking.